This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. It's been more than a year since the Terre Haute Convention Center opened in the city's downtown. Since then, the 43,000 square foot venue has hosted nearly 200 events and about 20,000 people, according to General Manager Tennille Warner, who said there's more room for growth.
I think there are some things that Terre Haute still needs, more hotels. The hotels are a big piece of our long-term book, which is our convention business. And so our hotels do really well here. But I think long-term, when we get more hotel room nights, I think that will succeed a little more.
Officials say Terre Haute's 2 convention hotels are currently running at about 80% occupancy, with another set to open next year. Louisville Tile continues to grow its market dominance as a ceramic, porcelain, and natural stone tile distributor after acquiring American Olean Midwest in South Bend. The cost of the deal was not disclosed, but American Olean's 23 employees will bring Louisville Tile's total headcount to 290. Fort Wayne Public Transportation Corporation's CityLink facility will have its roof and fuel storage tanks replaced after the Federal Transit Administration provided $1.28 million for repairs. The project, which totals $2 million, is slated for completion by summer 2024. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
For 25 years, we've had the honor of telling the story of Indiana business. More than 1,300 shows, 8,000 interviews. We've traveled from Valparaiso to Versailles, Fort Wayne to Fort Branch, and everywhere in between. And we are just getting started. Our team is passionate about Indiana business because your story is worth telling. Join us every week as we travel the state to bring you Indiana's story. Inside Indiana Business, 25 years and counting.
Pregnant workers employed in Indiana now have access to guaranteed accommodations after the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act went into effect yesterday. Gary Dick has details.
More than half of states already had similar protections enshrined into law, specifying that businesses with more than 15 employees must accommodate pregnant workers by signing light duty, allowing more bathroom and rest breaks, as well as anything else recommended by a medical provider, so long as it doesn't create an undue burden. Democratic Representative Maureen Bauer of South Bend noted that Indiana has one of the worst maternal mortality rates in the country, with the worst maternal mortality rate among wealthy countries. For women of color, particularly black women, mortality rates are nearly double. Governor Eric Holcomb included pregnancy accommodations in his legislative agenda in both 2020 and 2021, emphasizing the need to improve Indiana's infant mortality rate. In 2021, the governor signed an executive order acknowledging the shortcomings of federal protections and directed state agencies to provide reasonable accommodations to pregnant workers. But state legislators didn't agree with the governor, declining to create such protections for all pregnant workers. Bauer offered an amendment to the 2021 bill with some penalties and requirements for employers to comply with, quote, reasonable requests, but it failed on a 68-30 vote, with just one Republican, Representative Cindy Zemke of Batesville, voting for the measure. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Houston, Texas-based Pelican Energy Partners said this week it is investing in Blue Wave AI Labs, a software company headquartered in West Lafayette. The private equity firm declined to provide a dollar figure for the investment, but told IIB it is receiving a meaningful ownership stake in the company. Blue Wave has developed a software platform it says transforms historical operational data from nuclear reactors into intelligence that helps operators reduce operating and maintenance costs. With the investment, Pelican said Blue Wave will be able to expand its customer base, geographic presence, and product offerings to meet growing customer demand, as well as add to its staff of 15. The town of Ellettsville is seeking to grow outdoor experiences and revitalize its downtown amid a housing boom in the area. After years of planning, Krista Curtis of the Greater Ellettsville Area Chamber of Commerce says the small community just northwest of Bloomington is expanding its previous planning efforts with a refined vision for new parks, trails, and retail.
We don't have a large staff. Our chamber has a part-time employee, so we don't have a lot of resources. So the chamber really talked about this and said, we feel like as business leaders, we need to take a lead in the future of our community.
Town leaders have already given initial approval of the Envision Ellettsville Vision Plan, and a new land use plan is expected to come before the Ellettsville Town Council later this year. Customers of AES Indiana could see their monthly electricity bills climb an average of 13%, or $17, if state regulators approve the utility's newest request for a rate increase. The company filed a petition today to seek a rate increase to cover what it said were rising operational costs, as well as costs for tree trimming and removal of overhanging vegetation, which can interfere with overhead lines. The Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission will review the utility's latest request and solicit feedback from the public. If approved, the new rates would go into effect next summer. Former Colts star Robert Mathis is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.